I'm Jacob Hamilton,
And I'm Hidro and Joseph.
and welcome back to the Hardwood Huddle, a basketball podcast where we break down the latest news and games in the NBA and basketball world. Hidro, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Got this Los Angeles shirt on because we're going to hit some West Coast dead ball reviews today. And very excited. So let's bring it. It's the off season.
Off season in the dead of it, that's for sure. We only have one topic today before we go into the DBR, so this might be one of our shorter episodes if you want to call it short. But the topic is schedule release. The NBA has released all of their schedules and all of their opening week schedules. So I'll just go in on the first games of the season. Oh, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. All right. For opening day of the NBA, we have Rockets at Thunder, and then we have Warriors at the Lakers. That's on Tuesday, October 21st. Wednesday, we have Cavs versus the Knicks, Spurs versus the Mavericks, and then that Thursday, we have the Thunder at the Pacers, Nuggets at the Warriors, and then that Friday, we have the Celtics at the Knicks and the Timberwolves at the Lakers. So, I guess I'll start with what stands out most to me is that they have KD going back to Oklahoma City for their ring ceremony. That seems pretty funny to me. Yeah, that's for the opening day of basketball. Definitely stands out the most. That one for sure.
Yeah. Kevin Durant going back to OKC to watch that banner be raised in his presence. The Rockets have a really good team, so they're gonna get punched in the mouth early with their schedule is looking like 6 road games out of the first 10 to start. So that will be one of them, and they're gonna have to get that chemistry on the road if they didn't develop it through training camp and any little summer get-togethers that they had. So very interested to see what the Rockets look like in the start of the season. That one stands out. Did you have any other ones that you had off the top of your head?
Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. For obviously Luka and LeBron versus Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors on that opening day obviously stands out as well. Probably won't see another LeBron and Bronny on the court at the same time. Probably, I'm guessing. I probably won't see that like we did at the beginning of last season. But Cavs versus Knicks, probably the two biggest teams in the Eastern Conference, and that wide open Eastern Conference is one that excites me the most on that Wednesday. The second day of the opening week of the games. That one, and obviously Spurs versus Mavs. We have Victor Wembanyama versus Cooper Flag in the Dallas Mavericks. That's obviously a big one. Then we have a finals rematch that Thursday in OKC versus Indiana. Obviously, no Tyrese Halliburton in that rematch itself, but I think anyways that's still going to be a good game. We got Nembhard, who's going to be looking to have a promising season with Tyrese out, and Pascal Siakam is still on the Pacers as well. So those are the three biggest ones that stand out to me. Four, excuse me.
Okay. I like the Rockets coming out to OKC on day one. That's must-watch television. And Operation Goon coming off of an All-Star season for the Rockets, so that's going to be fun. One that stood out to me that uh, one that you mentioned and one that you didn't. Spurs versus Mavericks.
Yep.
Uh, Being able to see how Victor Wembanyama looks like in his return from that, I guess it was a blood clot issue, where he had to be on blood thinners and not be able to play until they cleared him this earlier this summer. So I'm very interested to see in what he looks like. He's the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year every single year.
Yeah.
It's his as long as he makes it to the NBA minimum number of games in order to win postseason regular season awards, which is 65 games.
And
So he go ahead.
I think this season, like especially for Victor Wembanyama, I know a lot of people are already putting him in the top 10 of NBA players in the league currently. And I'm one of those people who think he's a top 10 basketball player already when he's on the court. I mean, he makes that Spurs like one of the best defensive teams in the league. And when he's not, they're not one of the best defensive teams in the league. And obviously his offensive firepower as well. I mean, right now, probably put him 10 or 11 on my current players list. But I think if we get a great season out of Wemby this year, maybe even MVP conversations almost. And obviously that's hard when you have Nikola Jokic and Shea and Joel Embiid if fully healthy as well. I think this season, I think is time for Victor Wembanyama to kind of show like this is going to be his league here soon.
And the West is going to be so brutal. You got Anthony Davis, hopefully a healthy Anthony Davis playing for the Mavericks. But Cooper Flag, one of the youngest draft picks in the most recent draft, number 1 overall, going to a team who just barely missed the playoffs. As they lost in the second play-in game. So he's got a team that's already built. The only thing they're missing really is Kyrie Irving coming back from the ACL. And we'll do a dead ball review on the Mavericks pretty soon because I'm very interested on what they have going on for their season. But by the way, dead ball review is basically us going over the team's off-season moves after they completed their run to the championship that failed for 29 out of the 30 teams last year, and what it takes for them to either improve or if they did not improve over the course of the transactions over the offseason. But the Spurs versus Mavericks, I think that'll be interesting. But then the one you didn't mention, the Timberwolves at the Lakers. So the Timberwolves bounced the Lakers out in 5 games, and it'd be interesting to see how the Lakers look against that same team. Minnesota's, I think, essentially the same team by and large. I guess they're just missing Alexander Walker. I think he went to Orlando.
Atlanta, I believe.
You can double check. Atlanta, okay. So what they look like, and we'll do a Lakers DBR, so a dead ball review, so everybody can hear what the Lakers did in the offseason to improve. But Timberwolves at Lakers, you got Anthony Edwards, another season of his exciting play. Rudy Gobert going against LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and company. That should be fun to see what the Lakers look like compared to bigs, compared to a team full of bigs, which was their Achilles heel, the rebounding last year.
Yeah, no, that one out of the ones I didn't mention, that one probably was the one that I forgot to mention there. If I had to kind of swap out of those last 3 that I did have, I'd put that one.
The Pacers,
the Thunder Pacers, just
because we don't have the full Pacers roster.
Yeah.
In the previous dead ball review, we talked about the Pacers. We're like, look, the team is essentially the same. The only difference is they risked Turner, their center, thinking that there was nobody that had cap room to make a play for him, Miles Turner. And the Bucks did an interesting move of stretching and waiving Damian Lillard in order to free up the cap space in order to fit Turner under the cap. So they lost them to a division rival. And as we know, Halliburton in Game 7 of the NBA Finals tore his Achilles. So he more than likely will be out for the season. And so they're kind of left with the rest of the team, which, as we all know, made it to the finals, but they did that coming from a lower seed. I think it was, 5th seed or something like that?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's not exactly promising that they're coming off of that. They're going to be missing their star player and their previous starting center going into that rematch against the Thunder. The Thunder is fully loaded. Great team.
Yeah. fully loaded and might be could possibly even be not record better, because that would be pretty phenomenal if their record went up from last season. But just like player personnel wise, even better with Nikola Topic being back from injury. He was their draft pick, not this past year, but the season past. He was out with the ACL tear, I believe, as well. And then Thomas Sorber, center, who they picked up in this year's draft. But just for the people who obviously this is just a housekeeping right here. For the people who didn't see it, this is the NBA 2026 or 2025-2026 season watch guide. Now the NBA is partnered with NBC, Peacock, and Prime. So on Sundays, we're going to be having ABC games, NBC games, and Peacock. Peacock is you have to pay for the platform. Monday is Peacock only games. Tuesday is NBC and Peacock. Wednesday is ESPN. Thursday is Amazon Prime. Friday is Prime and ESPN, and Saturday is Prime and ABC. Just some housekeeping I just wanted to put out in the air, just in case anybody just did miss that. NBC. This is also breaking as of today, 11 hours ago. NBC is rolling out Coast to Coast Tuesday, which pushes back the second leg of the NBA doubleheaders to 11 p.m. Eastern time. So to our fans on the East Coast, I'm very sorry about that. That's not very fun. Staying up that late. Those are my primetime games, right? Those are what, 3 hour difference. So that would be 10, 9, 8 o'clock. Like those are easy money games for me to make every time. But also just more housekeeping right there. These are the teams that have the most back-to-backs this next season. We'll start at 15. The Jazz have 15. The Heat, the Warriors, the Pelicans, the Trailblazers, the Raptors, and the Clippers all have 15 back-to-back games next season. The 76ers have 16. The Nuggets have 16. The Suns do as well, along with the Hornets, and the Wizards have back-to-back games. But if you're concerned about that 76ers having 16 back-to-back games with all their injury concern, with Joel Embiid and Paul George on that roster, I believe that I read this, that they have the most like advantage games, which means they have a break in between the games, and against the teams that they're eventually going to play, they'll be on back-to-backs. So that gives the Sixers just kind of like a helping toss there with their 16 back-to-back games in this upcoming season. But if I'm pretty sure we talked about this last episode, I believe, or the episode previously, just more housekeeping for NBA schedule. Christmas Day games on ESPN and ABC, the Cavs and the Knicks at New York. My apologies for that. Spurs at Thunder, Rockets at Lakers, Mavericks at Warriors, and Timberwolves at the Denver Nuggets for NBA Christmas in 2025 for Christmas Day games. And then right before Thanksgiving on November 26th for the NBA Cup, we have a triple header in Detroit versus Boston. Obviously, no Tatum on Boston. And then we have Minnesota versus Oklahoma City, and the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors. I know a lot of people aren't very fond of the NBA Cup, or nor do they really care about it. But those are still fun games to watch. At the end, it all does mean something, especially for those NBA Cup games. So yeah, that's just the little housekeeping, like I've said, for the NBA Cup games. Any of those stand out to you most?
Before I comment, let me go ahead and address the NBA Cup. Those games count towards the 82 games schedule. The only one that doesn't count towards the 82 game schedule is the final game, and the rest of the NBA is on break right then. So when it comes to all the back-to-backs that all these teams like to complain about, they get a decent break. Yeah. Most of the NBA over there waiting for the NBA Cup to come to completion. The Final Four is, I think last year was in Vegas. I'm pretty sure they might keep the same format.
Yeah, I believe so.
And the guys who are playing in that, they get extra money for winning. So that's money added to their contract. So they're playing, they have incentive to play. It's a title that you get to hold, So there's incentive there, and all the other teams are getting rest. But all of these games, except for the final game, is counts towards the 82 game schedule. So the people who are like, I don't care about the cup, it don't matter if you care about it or not. It goes towards your record. It's not all
Yeah,
fun and games like the Olympics or something like that, where
it's not just exhibition
those
games.
are technically exhibition games.
Yeah,
Those Olympic games where, and we should probably talk about this in a different pod, but the Olympics, we probably shouldn't be risking our best players in the league in the Olympics every 2 years. The World Cup every 4 years, and the Olympics 2 years after the World Cup. So
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that, especially since we lost Paul George that one time
yeah.
due to that.
Ooh,
And at this recent Olympics, Bam Adebayo did not have a great year uh, coming off of it. Joel Embiid obviously couldn't even finish out the season, but we played him all through the Summer Olympics when he should have been resting,
yeah.
and just different stuff like that. I feel like we shouldn't we shouldn't be playing our guys like that. With that being said, I also wanted to address the 16. You said the Sixers have 16 back-to-backs.
16 back-to-backs. Here I can go over all the teams
So
that have
so if the
back.
Sixers so if the Sixers have 16 back-to-backs, Joel Embiid he doesn't play back-to-backs. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming Paul George won't either. So
yeah,
if I'm somebody who likes watching the Sixers or plan on go watching them on the road or something, don't attend those games if
yeah,
you went over there to watch Joel Embiid or Paul George play. And if they're gonna miss all the back to backs, 16 minus 82, taking 16 off of 82, that's 66 games. That means they have to hit all the rest of the games to qualify for postseason awards. The like NBA MVP, six man, All NBA, first, second, third team. You don't qualify for any of that stuff if you do less than 65 games.
yeah.
So if you miss all of the back to backs, you're going to miss 16 games and you're at 66. So keep that in mind. With that being said, onto the onto the games that you described. I'm interested in all the Rockets games. The
Yeah,
Rockets games will be interesting. Rockets versus Golden State. You said that was an NBA Cup game. Very interesting. Rockets versus Lakers on Christmas. That's going to be interesting. The NBA Cup game against the Warriors, because they will be trying to see where their level is compared to last year when they got bounced by the Warriors, and we'll discuss that in the Dead Bar review. And the Rockets against the Lakers. Obviously, Lakers draw a lot of attention for Christmas Day games. They tend to be very exciting, and Luka
yeah,
Doncic is a performer, so that should be interesting. That one's in LA. And then lastly, I wanted to mention I love watching the Timberwolves play the Nuggets. I love
yeah.
watching the Timberwolves play the Nuggets.
No,
It's always fun.
it's
It's
definitely
never
must
boring.
watch.
So Wolves Nuggets on Christmas Day. Those Rockets Lakers and Timberwolves Nuggets. I'm watching those for sure, without
And
question.
maybe I'm wrong here, but I think this is the last like for Rockets Lakers, excuse me. Um, this is like the first time since 2017 Kevin Durant and LeBron James have played each other. Obviously, bearing no injuries come up to ruin that for us. That play. This is like the first time since 17 or 18 that they've played each other on Christmas Day. Which, I mean, if anybody remembers those games, those were a lot of them were very amazing KD performances, and definitely KD has that on LeBron for sure. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly. That's been some time. 2018 feels like 2 days ago, man. But however many years ago that is, it's what 8 years ago. It's ridiculous almost. But yeah, no, I'm excited. That one for sure stands out to me the most. That I'm sad that the Suns aren't on Christmas Day anymore. That was always fun, getting to go to those games on Christmas and having to leave the family behind and go with my grandfather to those Suns games. Those were always great times there. But Spurs at Thunder, though that one I'm just we'll get to this sooner to the closer to the season. But the Spurs are definitely a top 5 must-watch team for me. That's my opinion. I said another team a couple episodes back. If that is still in anybody's head, then. But yeah, the Spurs are must-watch for me. Factoring in Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, and the guys. So, and De'Aaron Fox, gosh, and Dylan Harper, gosh, man, they're stacked. They're stacked team. Those are that one stands out to me the most, along with the Lakers and Rockets up, of course, and then Minnesota and Denver. Cooper Flagg makes his Christmas debut rookie year, so maybe we're going to get to see 20 years of Cooper Flagg playing on Christmas if the Mavericks stay to great level and if they don't trade him away. But yeah, though that is our
question. When do you think when do you think Kyrie gets back?
I think Kyrie comes back after Christmas. I don't see a world where like they try to rush him back. I think when you have a guy like Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, like that team with or without Kyrie, granted, if Cooper Flagg is the player that everyone believes him to be, I don't think he comes till after Christmas. And I don't remember his exact injury. I think it might have been an ACL, MCL tear, maybe both. But stuff that's not good. And I know he does his live streams on Twitch, I believe.
Left ACL.
I'm not ACL. Yeah, I'm not tuned in on those. I don't know if he talks about it much on there. I always see clips when I'm scrolling my TikTok at night, doom scrolling, that he's always like, he doesn't like talking about it. It's something that it bothers him, obviously. I mean, granted, when you have an injury that bad, you probably don't want to talk about it. I wouldn't want to talk about it either. But yeah, I would probably say till after Christmas. And even if the Mavericks are like in the playoffs, and maybe even playing, like, and like they have that spot almost kind of locked up there in the West. I mean, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm kind of like, I'm bringing him back probably at the end of the season when like maybe games matter the most for teams, and especially when you're going up against like smaller teams, like bottom conference teams, like the Hornets and stuff like that. I think you probably bring him back maybe for that and kind of like one off, one on, and then come playoff time, you have him fully back. Granted, if Cooper Flagg is the player we believe him to be, but so I'd say probably not till a while we see Kyrie Irving play for the Dallas Mavericks.
This feels familiar, like when Kyrie Irving was out for the Celtics, but they still played well with a young Tatum and Brown on that team. Imagine if the Mavericks get off to a super hot start and Kyrie Irving isn't there. It's going to be a controversy. Man, that Dallas Mavericks DBR, I'm ready to write it right now.
I'm excited for it. The Dallas Mavericks it's just a team that's like, they really can go in any direction. Granted, having Anthony Davis, I was about to say Anthony Day 2 Davis, but he's been playing games. I feel like that nickname is kind of rubbing off of Anthony Davis and maybe going to different guys now. Especially,
I can't believe Nico Harrison got an exciting product waiting for us potentially.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the Dallas Mavericks. Definitely going to be watching a majority of their games in this season with or without Kyrie. So I will be there. But on to the dead ball review. This is you. Take over.
All right, so we got the Rockets. All right. Let me find my Rockets notes.
Yep, let me get in there.
Like I said, dead ball review. We're just reviewing the teams at the end of their season, their dead ball. And what they project to do for next season. We discussed that at the end. These are kind of truncated because we got a bunch of them today. I think we got like 4. So for this dead ball review, we're reviewing the Houston Rockets season and off season. They finished last season 52-30, second in the Western Conference, which was great. Lost in the first round, not great, to the Warriors. They lost in 7 games. So that means they lost at home to a 7th seed that I guess had to play in the play-in tournament to even make the playoffs. So
a seventh seed, by the way, that once they added Jimmy Butler to the mix was one of the best teams after that All-Star break as well. So
yeah, but everybody got hot after the everybody got hot after the All-Star break because the race was so hot. Another reason to love the NBA because the schedule was so tight, the standings, that all these guys had to go on a hot streak just to make the playoffs. I think the Timberwolves won all but the 2 of the last 16 games, something crazy like that, just to be a 6th seed.
Crazy. And this is off topic, sorry. But like the 3rd seed in the West, I think all the way down to the 7th seed was like a 4-game difference. Like it was so neck and neck to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Season breakdown for the Rockets. Ime Udoka, coach for the Houston Rockets, had a tremendous defense that propelled that 50-win team to a first-round playoff series. First time that the Rockets made the playoffs since the Harden trade. So congrats to them. Young core, Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., and a deep guard rotation that they still have even after their major trade, which they accomplished this summer, acquiring Kevin Durant, future Hall of Famer, from the Phoenix Suns, your Phoenix Suns. And they had to trade Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks in order to make that happen. It was a whole 17 trade. That's never happened before in the NBA. 17 trade. So lots of teams involved, but the number 10 pick went to the Phoenix Suns. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and some second rounders to Phoenix. Clint Capella also came over. I think he came over from Atlanta, and that was that 17 trade, which was pretty interesting that it developed into that big of a trade, but very little going on when it comes to restricted free agency and all this stuff. So a lot of people are just, I guess, combining all of their trades together into one. I guess that's a product of the new CBA. They signed Dorian Finney-Smith off of the Lakers roster as a free agent, 4 years, $53 million. I said they got Clint Capella for 3 years, 21 and a half. They extended Steven Adams, who proved to be a handful for the Warriors in the playoffs with the double big lineup. They extended him 3 years, $39 million, and great for Steven Adams because he showed well after that. Coming back from that injury, he missed most of the season he missed a lot of the season with the injury, and Rockets took a flyer on him. Had him on the roster rehabbing for a lot of the season, then came back, started playing well as they ramped up his minutes, and then proved to be an entire monster come playoff time.
Yeah.
Jabari Smith, they extended him 5 years, $122 million, and our normal 3 questions that we discuss at the end of the dead ball reviews. I made them all the same for these dead ball reviews, I believe, because I didn't really want to have a bunch of random stuff going on. It ended up being a lot, but one question: what's the single most impactful move that they made this offseason?
I think the easy answer to this question is obviously acquiring Hall of Famer Kevin Durant. But obviously that for me, it's like a 1A, 1B kind of conversation for most impactful moves. And the 1B would be Jabari Smith signing to that 5-year, $122 million rookie extension. I believe that wasn't a rookie max extension, but and for a guy like Jabari Smith now, with a guy who kind of Jabari Smith, the guy who hasn't really truly lived up to expectations as being the second or third overall pick, I believe, in his draft, but still turning into the player that I think we could definitely see, obviously with KD, and that's why I have these as 1A, 1B when I was going over and reading the DBR before I jumped into the panel. I was like, yeah, like that's just such a great deal. I believe I did the math, $24.4 million a year for Jabari Smith. That's a very movable contract. I think he can definitely, and good on the Rockets for getting him that or getting him to sign that, because, a lot of guys like want these max extensions right off the rip. And I'm pretty, that's not max. So if maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, that I'd say 1A is obviously signing one of the greatest players to ever touch basketball, and trading for Kevin Durant. And then 1B definitely for me is Jabari Smith. Yourself, what was the most single impactful move this offseason?
For the Rockets, I mean, for any team really, is probably the Kevin Durant trade. Being able to address the scoring issue that the Rockets had with the best scorer on their team by scoring average, ended up having single digit scoring games in the playoffs, and that's just not going to get it done against any team, let alone a veteran Warriors team that
No.
I'm sure the Rockets would like to stop playing in the playoffs, because they send them home every single time they see them. I believe 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, or 2020. They got sent home by the Warriors each and every one of those times, and again last year. So Draymond Green and Steph Curry enjoy sending the Rockets home. Another one I did not mention as an important offseason move, I think it might be right up there, if not higher than the Kevin Durant one, actually, is extending Ime Udoka's contract.
Mm-hmm.
He's now one of the highest paid coaches in the league, but he proved that he deserved it with the defensive turnaround that the Rockets have done, and they've just overall been a more watchable team since he's been there. And so with his finals experience, I do expect that he can guide this team further than they've gone in a long time. So looking forward to seeing how the Kevin Durant stuff for sure, but I'm glad about Udoka's extension. Number two, does this offseason change their ceiling for 2025-2026?
Absolutely. I think it levels up their ceiling exponentially. If that's the right word. I'm not big on using huge words that I don't really know the meaning of, but I'm pretty sure that's the right fit there. But yeah, no, I think this does change their season for this upcoming season by a lot. Obviously, like mentioned, you had a scoring threat in Kevin Durant. You had more wing depth in Dorian Finney-Smith, and then on top of having all-star center Alfred Sengun, you have Clint Capella, kind of an unexpected signing there for me personally. But obviously, then you re-signed Steven Adams to a 3-year, $39 million, I believe, if that's the right number. Yep. Yeah, I think this changes their ceiling a lot. I think they're at least a 5th seed, and that means that they are still a good team. And I think that even granted that you can give Kevin Durant a lot of rest. I feel, oh man, Amen Thompson is gonna take a huge step this upcoming season. Obviously, we'll see how his 3-point shot evolves. Obviously, crazy, like a video game character in real life. Let's be for real here. A guy who can guard 1 through 5 defensively. So I think this changes their ceiling a lot by all these signings.
Yeah, I don't have anything further to add to that. It's just that the Rockets are now contenders, and I do feel like they matched up before the Kevin Durant signing. I did feel like they matched up pretty well with a lot of the teams that were in last year's playoffs, except for the Warriors, and we ended up drawing them anyway.
Yeah, worst
But
matchup by far.
yeah, as a 2 seed, um, you you should draw a pretty easy draw when it comes to a 7 seed, and you ended up with a team that's got 4 rings. So since 2015, so it's almost like bad bad luck, bad luck for them, but promising that you got all of these guys under the age of like 23, 24. They're super young guys for the most part on
Yeah.
their team. And now they're adding a future Hall of Famer to address their offensive issues. It's almost like a perfect fit. And
Yeah, right.
I think that it's one of those opportunities for a guy like Kevin Durant to prove why I had him as the fourth best NBA player of all time. When we did our top 15 list, I got him at number 4, and I believe that he will prove it this season with his normal strong offensive seasons, but coupled with a dynamic defense and with Ime Udoka at the helm, and we should see some exciting stuff going on at Toyota Center this year. Number 3,
Absolutely.
what's the next move you'd make if you were the GM of the Rockets?
Have Jabari Smith and Kevin Durant get in the gym together. I honestly, I think that is like if I was a Rockets fan and I'm a Suns fan, but I love basketball across the board, so I kind of like to put myself like in all the different basketball communities on Twitter or previously known as Twitter, now X. I think that's their next move. I think if that already hasn't been happening, but yeah, that when I saw this trade, I was like, yeah, like this is going to be fun. Like this, you could see like a huge offensive step up, and Jabari Smith, a guy who can produce offensively, but I think we're having a guy who has like the same build size, definitely with Kevin Durant. That's also that's big. And Amen Thompson getting more comfortable, just kind of with everywhere. I think obviously defense you don't have to worry about. He's 100% bought into that. You'll never have to worry about that as a Rockets fan. Him slacking on defense. I think if I was a GM or Ime Udoka, I'd be like, hey man, let's look at some reps of you on the ball, maybe. Because obviously you have Fred VanVleet, a guy who restructured his contract for this team, but obviously not a guy who's like a future point guard for this team, a guy who's older. I think maybe you take a look at Amen on the ball, kind of just anywhere. I mean, he can do anything. So that those are my 2 moves if I was the GM / head coach of this Houston Rockets team. And yourself?
I don't got anything to add, man. I think that you nailed it on the head. I feel like they have covered their bases for the most part uh, when it comes to their roster formation.
Yeah.
I didn't mention they got Josh Okogie, but they got rid of Cam Whitmore, um, traded him to I think the Wizards.
Yep.
But
For 2 second round picks.
yeah, so I feel like the only thing I would say is that maybe at point guard they seem a bit thin, and
Yeah.
you might want to shore that up with a veteran that can just get the ball to Kevin Durant when you need a bucket.
Yeah.
But I, you know, I, they're NBA players at the end of the day. You would think that any guy could be like, look, this guy has made however many number of shots in his career. I can get him the ball and get out of the way if that's what needs to happen on the offensive
Yep.
end to simplify things. And we can just focus on what we're trying to do defensively. I like where Dorian Finney-Smith is at in terms of wing depth.
Yeah.
And we still got veterans, and like I think Jeff Green resigned. Um,
Yeah. He's a coach, though.
oh,
Come on now.
We got Aaron Holiday. So I do feel like uh, point guard might be something that you look into, depending on if it looks like we need somebody to kind of set us up better. But
Yeah,
because I'm not sure Amen Thompson is going to be that guy. I personally prefer him off the ball, but that's an Ime Udoka decision
yeah,
um, to decide because I kind of feel like Amen Thompson needs to be running a break, and he doesn't need to be trying to look for people on the break. He needs to be kind of finishing on the break.
of course, yeah. And I mean, I'm even surprised, like I Reed Shepard is still on this team. I didn't watch too much summer league because it's not real basketball at the end of the day, kind of. But I don't know how he looked, if he was on ball at all for y'all during summer league. But even still, like I'm surprised a guy like D'Angelo Russell's name didn't come across the table. A guy who signed a veteran minimum contract in Dallas. I know his shot making is kind of questionable and all that, but he's a ball handler who's comfortable being on ball. So that would be a guy. If I could reverse time, I'd be like, hey, maybe look into him.
I mean, yeah, I'm based on what I saw, and based on my feelings about him, I don't think Reed Shepard is ready for any serious minutes um,
Yeah,
this season either. I I wouldn't count on that, and still continue to think about signing a veteran if you feel like the team is not being set up properly in the half court, and it seems like the offense is struggling and they're doing too much. Give it to Kevin Durant and not enough,
yeah,
you know, ball movement. And they got an all-star in Alperen Şengün. He needs to get them touches also. So let's
of
not play
course.
around. I think Şengün and Durant need to have good chemistry and take the time. It doesn't have to be your go, my go type of thing. They can work together. Alperen Şengün is a phenomenal passer,
Hmm.
and they can work on different spots of the floor.
Yeah,
That's how I feel. DBR for the Houston Rockets. With
go.
All right, so the next one we have is the Lakers. All right, let me pull up the Lakers real quick.
The Los Angeles
So the
Lakers.
Lakers, they finished 50-32 last year, third in the Western Conference. They lost in the first round to the Timberwolves, 4-1. So gentlemen sweep, not great. Uh, they had that midseason blockbuster trade that brought in Luka Doncic, and they had a strong finishing kick to their season to end up with the third seed. And you would think they were able to, if they're able to get past the first round, they would see the young Rockets in the potentially in the second round, or the Warriors they would end up facing, and then they would have to see the winner of the Thunder versus the Nuggets, which would be ideal. But they ended up losing in round one to those Timberwolves, and Anthony Edwards uh, played phenomenally, but it was really the bigs that they really didn't have an answer for. And that was JJ Redick's first full year at the helm. So his rotations in the playoffs, considering they needed big help and they did not really play Jackson Hayes, was interesting to me. But uh, we'll see how their off season played out. So during the off season, they sold the team. The Bus family reached an agreement to sell the team to a minority partner, Mark Walter, for about 10 billion, I believe, was the valuation. So
Yeah,
that's a record for NBA franchise or any franchise sale in North American sports. And that deal isn't finalized yet. I think it was just announced. So
yeah,
waiting for that to go through. But um, It's interesting how the off season plays out when something like that happens. Ownership change. LeBron James did not sign an extension. He just opted into his player option for next season at 52.5 million. So he will be a free agent after this season. And he hasn't announced this to be his final season. I would assume he would announce his final season so
Yeah.
everybody could go watch. But so it's possible that he plays again, depending on how this season ends. And it may not be for the Lakers, depending on how this season ends. So maybe
Yeah.
he's done with these exits and is looking for newer pastures again. Luka Doncic agreed to an extension, 3 year, 165 million, with the 2028 player option. They signed DeAndre Ayton after he got bought out from Portland. They signed Marcus Smart after Washington Wizards buyout, and they signed Jake LaRavia outright from. He was formerly a Sacramento King, signed him as a free agent, and they re-signed Jackson Hayes for reasons unknown, seeing as they did not want to play him when they needed a big during the
Yeah.
playoffs, and they still got the same. They still got the same coach, so not exactly sure what changes there. They're a minor part of the 17 Kevin Durant trade. Um, they required the draft rights to Adu Thiero. I don't think he'll play. And so, number one question, same three questions. What's the single most impactful move um, that was listed above, or if I missed one that wasn't listed?
Signing Luka Doncic to a 3 year, 165 extension. I think you just signed a perennial all-star, debatably maybe down the line one of the best players in basketball that we've ever seen. Definitely one of the best I've ever watched in my entire life in this short 21 years of living. But yeah, no, Luka Doncic signing that extension with the LA Lakers is the most impactful.
I agree. It's really nothing that it really nothing to add there. Like the LeBron James opting into his option um, does make him tradable. So that could be interesting if
Yeah,
you find that, hey, look, it doesn't look like LeBron is happy here and he'd be interested in a move elsewhere, and maybe you ship him off somewhere like New York or something. But
it's some crazy stuff.
yeah, Luka Doncic with the extension, and mind you, he lost that supermax that he could have signed with the team that he was with in the Dallas Mavericks because they traded him, and based on the cap rules, you don't get the same amount of money. So supermax guys are getting like 200 plus $1 million. So he probably lost about 50 or 60 million dollars off
Yeah.
of just being traded. Uh, Number two, does this offseason change their ceiling for 2025, 2026?
I think you there's two ways you have to look at this. I think it's if DeAndre Ayton can get back to really having a, like, I hate to say having a drive to play, because obviously he's in the NBA, he loves basketball, but if he has that drive, like, I don't think he will. If you see Marcus Smart, kind of a glimpse of what he once was in Boston that we haven't seen in what, 3 years, like, I think I don't think their ceiling has changed as much as people really like to say. I think we're going to see a lot of moves from the Lakers at this upcoming deadline, trying to get maybe another big if DeAndre and isn't working out, a backup guard and or to replace Marcus Smart. So no, I don't think this changes their ceiling. Maybe by like 3 games, but
Which could be the difference between a, a guaranteed spot in the playoffs and the play-in, by the way,
right.
and you be in danger of missing the playoffs completely. For people who don't know, the play-in tournament, the top 6 teams in the NBA get automatic bids into the playoffs, and 7, 8, 9, and 10 are battling for the last 2 spots for the right to be in the playoffs in a knockout tournament per se. So you have to win in order to get in. 9 and 10 face each other, and the winner that plays the loser is 7 and 8. Um,
Yeah.
the winner of 7 and 8 is the 7th seed, and the winner of the eighth place team versus the ninth or 10th place team gets the 8th spot. Miami Heat made the playoffs from the 10th seed last year, which turned out to be a disaster. They got blown out a whole bunch of times. So it's one of those things where it's like maybe the NBA might need to revisit that, having a
Yeah.
10 seed make the playoffs and having bad basketball as a result of that. But this is where we stand right now with the current makeup. So yeah, I guess the last question was, what's the next move you'd make if you were the GM of the LA Lakers?
Get a different big. I like the signing of Jake LaRavia. I failed to mention that on the last question because I was talking about the free agents. Get a different big. I know this is crazy to say, and it obviously fits, but like, I mean, if a guy like Lively is there, if a guy like Gafford is there, and obviously Lively's a younger guy, so they prefer to probably move off of Gafford than him. I think you got to make that call to Dallas if that's there. I feel like the NBA is a lot of NBA teams other than the Lakers really are kind of set on their big men. So it's going to be very costly to get these guys onto the Lakers. Definitely a big. I mean, if opportunity comes and there's a backup guard that you're like, whoa, like didn't expect this guy to be available right now, right before the start of the season or even at the deadline. I think you have to make that move. I think that's anybody, right? So those guard and big, I mean, kind of the same problems they went into with this free agency. So definitely guard and big.
I'm not sure when it comes to the Lakers. I'd have to see because at the end of the day, it's fairly obvious that they would need to have uh, somebody who can really contend in the paint against the Rudy Goberts and the the Nas Reeds of the world,
Yeah.
um, and DeAndre Ayton ain't it,
No.
but that's what they got. Jackson Hayes, they already showed to be not it, but he's there on an extended contract. And I'm not exactly sure what the plan is. I hope the plan isn't that Luka Doncic comes in healthy and at a good weight or whatever, in shape. So he just lights up the floor and they overcome the rebounding issues.
Yeah.
But because LeBron James is just getting older, he gets older every single day, and I know, in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. But it can go at any time. It
Yeah.
literally could go at any time. He's going to be 41 this year, and athleticism could just vanish overnight as the season wears on, or he decide starts suffering from ailments a lot longer than he's used to, and he ends up missing games. So I would consider. I mean, and like you said, the big man. Everybody's pretty good on their big man on their rosters right now. So the Rockets took a flyer on a Steven Adams that was hurt for most of the season, and it turned out to be good for them. Uh, Maybe the Lakers could go in that direction with the big, but
Yeah.
that's all I could see there.
Los Angeles Clippers.
All right, pull up some Clippers. Pull up some Clippers. LA is LA is getting the treatment right now. So
Yep.
let's see if I can pull up this Clippers stuff. Give me a second. But yeah, man, Clippers should be interesting too. So I think that might be another team that
Definitely an interesting.
I'm watching closely. I went to go see them play live last year, and I guess Kawhi Leonard took offense to what people were calling the Kawhi Leonard rule of you got to make 65 games in order to qualify for anything moving forward in terms of awards. So they and he played more. I ended up getting to see Kawhi Leonard play for the first time in person.
Yeah.
So I think that was cool. But LA Clippers, they also finished 50 and 32, but they ended up instead of third in the Western Conference, fifth in the Western Conference. No home court advantage. Playing against the Denver Nuggets, lost in round one in 7 games. So not having that first round, not having that, not having that home court advantage might have affected their ability to get past that first round and into the second round there. James Harden was steering the offense all year. No Paul George. He went to the 76ers, and they still finished with 50 wins. And then James Harden and Kawhi Leonard got to play in the playoffs together. So that was exciting, but they fell short. Their offseason includes the re-signing of James Harden, 2 years, 81 and a half, uh, acquiring John Collins, the center from Utah. And I think that was a 3-team trade that ended up sending Norman Powell to Miami.
Yeah.
Borderline All-Star last year. If LeBron James actually missed the All-Star game sooner, like LeBron James decided he wasn't going to play in the All-Star game like the day of, but if he'd have said uh, a week or so sooner that he wasn't going to play, if he knew, I'm not sure, then Norman Powell would have been in the running to be an All-Star last year.
Yeah.
But that he goes to Miami, so they lose something to get something. So they got the big and John Collins. They still got Vika Zubac on the roster, but they also signed Brook Lopez. Uh, Used to be Milwaukee, and now he'll be the center for the Clippers, likely the backup center as he winds down his career. They got Bradley Beal off of your Suns after the buyout. Was he stretched and waived, right?
Stretched and waved. Yep.
Okay. And then they signed Chris Paul. Chris Paul gets to go back home, where I'm pretty sure his family is still located there, even though he had that odyssey to San Antonio and in Phoenix. I think his family stayed in LA, and he he gets to go back on a 1-year deal. And what I hear is that's his last year.
Yep.
This year is going to be his last year. So there's that. What's the single most impactful move that the Clippers made this offseason?
I really, it sounds, I have two. I think that the John Collins acquisition was huge for them. I think getting obviously Chris Paul in there. Who knows how much Chris Paul is going to play, but a great playmaker in itself is great. Maybe we get to see a Lob City version 2 because I believe Derek Jones Jr. is still on the team. That's another lob threat for him and Harden along with John Collins. And then, excuse me, joking on my words here, Bradley Beal. I like the acquisition of Bradley Beal to this team. I believe he's on a $12 million contract. I mean, he wasn't asking for too much in NBA terms because he's still getting paid by Phoenix. So I really like what the Clippers are building, and everyone likes to call it the unction and all that, but who knows what can happen here, right? Like, I mean, James Harden, a notorious playoff dropper, but Kawhi Leonard, a notorious playoff riser. Chris Paul, a guy who I've seen tear it up in the playoffs for a very long time. Bradley Beal, a guy who, just a guy. And Bradley Beal, Brooke Lopez, Splash Mountain, Splash Mountain, and then obviously, like I said, John Collins. So I think the most impactful move, 1A, 1B, is John Collins and Bradley Beal.
I really like James Harden and Chris Paul being kind of like a plateau of point guards, assuming that they still that their chemistry is not dented by the way it ended with them in Houston.
Yeah.
As Houston Rockets, they got bounced, I guess, in the second round of the playoffs. The last time Chris Paul was there, and then Chris Paul ended up getting traded to Oklahoma City for Russell Westbrook, and Chris Paul gave them everything they wanted in that first round, 7-game series against Russell Westbrook and James Harden that very next playoffs. So I don't know if there's still bad blood there, but them being platoon point guards for a John Collins who could look a whole lot better with pure point guards uh, playing with, and Ivica Zubac already showed that having a guy like James Harden was golden for him. Guess what? Having a Chris Paul is going to do the exact same thing. Could even make Brooke Lopez look better than he did last year. So I really like the James Harden extension and the Chris re-signing. James Harden, I believe, was a free agent. So being able to secure him as opposed to have him go somewhere else was good. And having Chris Paul plateau him, I believe, is even better. Just makes everything else look better.
Yeah.
Does this offseason change their ceiling for 2025-2026?
I think it's the one way you kind of look at it. Can James Harden play the amount of games that he did last year? Can Kawhi play the exact amount of games that he did last year? Is Bradley Beal gonna kind of give that resurgence and not kind of have like that bad taste in his mouth because actually people want him there? And then John Collins, can John Collins play like amazingly alongside all of these veteran guys, along with Brooke Lopez? So I think a lot of it is health and not getting burnt out by the end of the season. By game 82, legs still need to be somewhat fresh going into the playoffs, and having these older players is sometimes not the easiest. So I would say like they could be around like the same 5-4 spot in the West. I know that's hard in this getting better and better every day Western Conference, but I think they kind of stay in the same spot. But that doesn't mean that they could have a better record, that they can't have a better record.
I mean, I think they should have a higher ceiling than they did last year. They should. I feel like if they win their series against the Lakers this season, for instance, so Clippers and Lakers are must see television. If they win those, the Lakers and the Clippers finish with the same record, but one was a 3rd seed and one was a 5 seed. So I feel like they had better acquisitions than the Lakers did this offseason. And as a result of them being a better, like the same record as the Lakers last year, but just the 5th seed, I think their ceiling is higher. They can be 2nd or 3rd
I see
for
it
this season.
I definitely can see it. But
health presuming, but that's for every team. What's the next move you'd make if you were the GM?
Make sure that our doctors are at peak locked in coming into the season in case these guys do get hurt. Seriously, I that for me is making sure the doctors are ready to have the x-rays just locked and loaded, sitting there ready to see if Chris Paul goes under, Kawhi Leonard goes under. But I don't really know. I'm really kind of roster wise. I'm really liking the team. So for me, I'd kind of stay where everything's at.
If I'm the Clippers, I'm GM. I'm scouring the entire league for any signs of somebody trying to give a big to the Lakers and just saying, "What do you want?" and I'll give you more. Don't give a big to the Lakers, and they got to spend all season. They got to spend all season doing that, and as long as they can avoid a team handing the Lakers a big for no reason, which whatever reason that tends to happen to the Lakers, they just tend to get guys for like nothing. I still remember Paul Gasol going to the Lakers in '07 for nothing, essentially. Like Marc Gasol never even played. Like nobody knew if he was going to be any good.
Yeah.
And Paul Gasol all was an all star, and they got him for like essentially nothing. Uh, the Lakers have a history of getting players for essentially nothing. Boston does too, but the Lakers, I feel like more so. So if I'm the Clippers GM, ain't no big coming to LA and not donning a Clippers jersey.
Yep. The Portland Trailblazers. For me, definitely a interesting team coming up for this season. This season, definitely a must watch team for me. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that earlier in the show and maybe another show. This is a team I'm very excited to watch play some basketball this season.
Let's see, Portland Trailblazers. All right, so Portland Trailblazers, they finished 36 and 46, 12th in the Western Conference. They missed the playoffs and the play-in. Uh, they showed better in the second half of the season, but they really did not have a great season.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting sold. They Tom Dundon, um, NHL's Carolina Hurricanes owner, uh, is pending approval for this sale. Uh, so the estate of Paul Allen had the franchise was owned the franchise up until now with this pending ownership change. $4 billion for the Portland Trailblazers, which is a great number.
Yeah.
And I guess with the new owner, and this is one thing about all new owners, just want to state that whenever a new owner comes in, all of a sudden money starts flowing because they feel that they can win now, and they start jumping at the opportunity to get the big names, to make the splash moves, and I
Yeah.
guess kind of show off their new toy to all of their friends and family. So uh, look for big splash moves coming from both the Lakers and the Trailblazers this upcoming um, couple of years. But one big splash move they did was bring back Damian Lillard on a 3-year, $42 million deal. I think Damian Lillard might miss the entire season. He tore his Achilles, and that's going to be a running theme. I keep saying tore his Achilles, tore his Achilles. A lot of Achilles tears in the NBA, which we'll probably talk about in a future pod. But Damian Lillard's going to spend most of this year, if not the whole year, rehabbing, and then he'll have 2 more years uh, with the Trailblazers. He was waived and stretched by the Milwaukee Bucks, as we said earlier. Anthony Simons, one of their good young players, was actually traded to the Celtics to acquire Drew Holiday. And Drew Holiday is, as far as I know, is still a Trailblazer. So interesting what they plan on doing with him. I'm not sure. I guess play him. But they drafted Cedric Coward, number 11, and Yang Hansen, uh, number 16 overall in the NBA first round. And they waived DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton signed a 2-year deal with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So out of those moves or any moves I missed, what do you think is the single most impactful move that they made this
Impactful
offseason?
move this offseason for the Trailblazers. I'd have to I think getting Damian Lillard back brings a lot of energy to the team when come next season when he's actually playing in the uniform for them, because I mean, on paper, right, let's call this the team for not this season but next. You have Damian Lillard, you have Drew Holiday, small forward, you have why am I blanking on his name? Denny Avdia. No, he'd be at the four. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? Man, he's so good defensively. Oh man, I always forget it. The Suns picked him 2 years ago, and he was sent with DeAndre into Portland. Can't remember his name for some reason. It'll come back to me. But yeah, Denny Advia. Then you have Donovan Clingan, and then you have Young Hansen, who I believe is going to be who was picked very high and very unexpected, but who numbered well for them at the combine, played well for them in the summer league. So I definitely most impactful move this offseason would definitely be signing Damian Lillard back. Granted, he comes back and is close and similar to the Damian Lillard that we all know and love. So Damian Lillard.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't think that Damian Lillard signing is impactful. I really think it's just it's almost like a I'm sorry type of thing. To bring him back so he could be closer to his family and stuff like that. I say that given that they signed him to significant money, in my opinion, for an older player that's coming off of an Achilles tear, still an Achilles at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think the Anthony Simons trade was impactful, uh, and I think in a negative way, but also in a positive way, because I'm not exactly sure if him being uh, him being on the roster was really helping a guy like Shaden Sharp, who is, in my opinion, the most exciting thing about the roster. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so he'll have more minutes in order to be able to play, and I think, yeah. So basically, I think the Anthony Simons trade to pick up Drew Holiday is probably the most impactful thing that could have happened to that happened for the Trailblazers this offseason. Let me see what else I got. Does it change their ceiling, their offseason moves this offseason?
I don't think so. I think they'll still be a bottom team in the West. Granted, if Shaden Sharp takes that next step, and then if Scoot Henderson can take up to that next level, obviously being with Drew Holiday and Dame Lillard back, a guy who was supposed to be Dame's successor, if everybody remembered. But no, I don't think so. I think they could have a slightly better record. I think they can get more wins. And obviously, like you said at the beginning of the season breakdown, their second half competitiveness was definitely up from the start of the season. But I don't think it changes too much. I think they're probably still a lottery team come playoff or come lottery time next year as well. So
Yeah, the West is tough.
yeah,
The West is tough. You can have a team that can look promising, and show something even in the off season. You start seeing a lot of growth from the young guys. Donovan Cleveland is a big one. Shaden Sharp is another one, and then you got your young rookies you drafted in the first round, and still be the 14th team in the Western Conference because all of those teams ahead of you are killers. I think the Trailblazers are probably a year away, and
yeah,
maybe that's why they got the Trailblazers. That's why they picked up Lillard, knowing that him having a rehab close to home could bring back the same kind of all-star vibes that he was giving, and he was an all-star for the Bucks just last season. So it's not like you're getting like damaged goods per se. Almost like this trade back to this re-signing back to Portland could kind of rejuvenate him mentally, and we'll see how that plays out. But we won't see that until next year, in my opinion. I don't know if he plays this year, but
Yeah.
this season I'm not seeing their outlook. I imagine their ceiling is even lower this year because of the moves that they made. They kind of went younger for the most part with guys that are going to be getting minutes, and the older guys, Damian Lillard is not playing, and Drew Holiday might be looking for an exit once the season gets going, and he can definitely be a trade asset for guys looking to kind of buoy their chances for a finals run this year.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were the GM?
I would see how Scoot Henderson plays out. That guy, he's obviously what this would be his third season in the NBA, I believe. I could be, yeah, third season. But I think that you kind of have to see how he plays out. I think if come this season he doesn't take a huge step forward in his progression as a basketball player, I think you kind of might have to start looking in different directions and just kind of test the field, see where everything's at. So I would definitely take a look at Scoot, but other than that, I think you're kind of leaning toward like what you said, like they're a 1 year away of like becoming like an actual or trying to fully contend for the playoffs because everyone will have an extra year under their belt. Dame will be back. But yeah, I'd say question Scoot Henderson going into the season and make him doubt you wrong.
I feel like Scoot Henderson is a lot like Killian Hayes was for the Pistons. I actually don't know. I don't think Killian Hayes is in the league right now.
No,
So
apparently he declined like a couple of overseas contracts because he's trying to make a return to the NBA. So
yeah, I think Scoot Henderson is on that Killian Hayes path. And if I were the Trailblazers GM, I would try to cut bait before everyone else catches on to the fact that Scoot Henderson is not an NBA player. To me, he's not. So he can
yeah,
always prove me wrong. But I'm not liking his chances personally. And I think that um, the Trailblazers will be looking elsewhere, regardless of what he looks like, unless he looks like he was the second or third pick in the draft when he got
second
drafted.
pick.
Second,
Or
yeah,
no, second, maybe
third.
third, not one, but definitely up there.
I think he was third, and Amen Thompson went fourth, something like that.
Let me see, because I can't remember what it was, what draft class was that? 2022 NBA draft class. Gosh, this is terrible by me right here. Oh no, 23.
23, man. Because Amen Thompson going into his third year.
Yeah, so Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, Amen, and then Asar Thompson. So
Sounds
he was
good. Yeah.
third pick. Yeah, I remember because Hornets fans were like crashing out because they didn't take Scoot. Got Brandon Miller. I feel like a guy who's definitely got a little more promise than Scoot Henderson himself. But
yeah, I'd like to see what LaMelo and Brandon Miller look like completely healthy for an 82 game season for Charlotte before I can truly assess if they need to cut bait on everybody and start over again or what. But that's it for our DBRs, I believe. That was all of them, right?
yes, that was the fourth and final. Then all right. Where can they find you?
I am at the Hero Joe, THAHERO JOE on X, formerly known as Twitter, and also Instagram. And you can find my articles on BellyUpSports.com. Yourself, Jacob.
You can find me on Twitter at Hammy 2004. Hammy spelled Hamie, not Hammy. But you can always find us on Twitter at Hardwood Huddle, the Hardwood Huddle Blitz Taken. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hidro's latest article is always in the link description below. I'm guessing he's going to have more coming up when the NBA's got more information and more news going on. NBA offseason is pretty slow, just as you can see in the show. But yeah, thanks to BellyUp Sport as always. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. It really helps us out the most. And Hidro, have a good one.